Welcome back to the show. Today we are going to dive deep into how to express your opinions, preferences, and strong convictions in English. This is going to be a long, comprehensive session because we want to make sure you have enough input to reach fluency.
Moving beyond simple I like and I don't like is the key to sounding truly fluent at the B2 level. You need to know how to agree politely and disagree constructively.
Exactly. We'll give you advanced phrases that native speakers use every day. We are going to cover everything from work habits to artificial intelligence. So, Emma, let's dive right in. What are your thoughts on the trend of 4-day work weeks?
That's a fascinating topic. In my opinion, it's absolutely necessary for improving employee well-being. But there are certainly drawbacks.
I see your point. It sounds great on paper. Let's keep those structures in mind, listeners. Pay attention to how we agree and disagree, because we'll review every single phrase at the end of this long episode. So, back to the basics. What is your take on the global shift towards permanent remote work?
To be honest with you, I'm torn between two sides. I find it incredibly convenient for those who have long commutes. However, I am convinced that long-term remote work damages team cohesion.
I couldn't agree more on the convenience factor. I feel strongly that I save hours every week, which improves my quality of life. The way I see it, the benefits far outweigh the risks of losing team spirit.
That's debatable. I mean, if the entire company is never physically together, how do you foster innovation? I tend to think that spontaneous office chats are where the best ideas are born.
I take issue with that. In this day and age, we have amazing digital tools. We don't need to be in the same room. I believe that the focus should be on results, not where you are sitting.
I see your point, but my experience suggests otherwise. I prefer the clear boundary of the office. When I work from home, I find it hard to disconnect. The whole experience becomes a double-edged sword.
I understand that challenge, but that's a personal discipline issue, not a fault of the system. If you set clear rules, the home office closes at 5 p.m., you can pull it off.
That sounds like a good solution for some, but I am fairly certain that for younger employees, the lack of mentorship is a huge disadvantage. What is your perspective on mentorship when everyone is remote?
As far as I'm concerned, mentorship can be structured perfectly well online. It might even be more efficient because meetings are scheduled and focused. But let's agree to disagree on that specific point. Let's pause and look at two great ways we used to express our viewpoint.
First, the difference between I find it and I believe.
We used I find it to describe a personal experience or observation. I find it hard to disconnect. It states a result based on your personal reality.
And we used I believe and I am convinced when we were talking about a general truth or a fundamental conviction. I am convinced that more companies should offer this option. It's a stronger statement of belief.
Another key structure was the way I see it. This is a polite, formal way to introduce your entire philosophy on a subject. It's much better than just starting with I think.
Try replacing I think with the way I see it next time you speak. It instantly elevates your B2 fluency. Fair enough. Let's switch gears to education. What are your thoughts on the trend of taking university courses entirely online?
That's another complex issue. In my experience, nothing can fully replace the in-person lecture hall and student discussions. I am passionate about traditional learning.
I have mixed feelings. I see the point about social interaction, but I feel strongly that online education is the future due to its accessibility. It democratizes knowledge.
I wouldn't go that far. While accessibility is a huge plus, I am willing to bet that the quality of engagement often suffers. I find it much harder to stay focused when learning digitally.
I couldn't agree more that focus is a challenge. But that's where structure comes in. In my opinion, a well-designed online course with mandatory live sessions and assignments can be just as rigorous.
That's debatable. As far as I'm concerned, the whole university experience, the library, the campus life, the informal networking, is invaluable. You lose that entire atmosphere online.
You're focusing too much on the atmosphere. I believe the core purpose is knowledge acquisition, and online platforms often provide better resources, like recorded lectures you can replay.
I take issue with the idea that recorded lectures are superior. They lead to passive learning. The way I see it, the pressure to participate in a live classroom keeps students accountable.
I totally agree that accountability is essential. Perhaps the ideal solution is a hybrid model. I am torn between the convenience of online learning and the social benefits of traditional campus life.
Now that's a consensus. A hybrid model seems to strike the right balance. We just use some fantastic structures for agreeing and politely disagreeing. Let's make sure our listeners absorb these.
For strong agreement, forget yes, I agree. Use these. I couldn't agree more, or I am with you 100%. These show enthusiasm.
When the other person has a good point, but you still have reservations, use I see your point, but, or that sounds fair, however. This acknowledges their idea before introducing yours.
And when you strongly disagree, but want to remain polite, avoid saying you are wrong. Instead, use I have to disagree with you there, or I wouldn't go that far. It softens the rejection.
We also used a classic B2 debating phrase. That's debatable. This doesn't attack the person, it attacks the idea, opening it up for further discussion. But let's talk about something more controversial. What is your stance on social media?
Oh, that is a hot topic. Personally, I am a big fan of it. I find it to be an incredible tool for staying connected with friends who live abroad.
I have to disagree with you there. I am incredibly skeptical about the value of social media. As far as I'm concerned, it does more harm than good, especially for mental health.
I see where you are coming from. The mental health aspect is worrying. However, I believe it depends on how you use it. If you curate your feed to show positive content, it can be inspiring.
That sounds idealistic. The way I see it, the algorithms are designed to make us addicted and angry. I find it exhausting to constantly see people's perfect lives.
I wouldn't go that far as to say it's all bad. It gives a voice to people who didn't have one before. I am convinced that it has helped many small businesses grow.
I'll grant you that point about businesses, but for individuals, I feel strongly that we need a digital detox. I prefer real-life interactions over likes and comments.
We are on the same page about real-life interactions. Nothing beats a coffee with a friend. But I think we can have both.
Perhaps. Let's move to a topic that affects everyone's wallet. What are your thoughts on fast fashion versus buying expensive, sustainable clothes?
This is something I struggle with. To be honest, I love the low prices of fast fashion. It allows me to experiment with my style without spending a fortune.
I take a hard stance on this. I am completely against fast fashion. I believe it is environmentally disastrous and often unethical.
I know you are right about the ethics, but I find it difficult to justify spending $100 on a t-shirt. For me, budget is the priority.
I understand the financial pressure, but I'm willing to bet that if you bought one high-quality shirt instead of 5 cheap ones, it would last longer. It's about quality over quantity.
That's a valid argument. I guess I have mixed feelings because I want to be sustainable, but my bank account disagrees.
It's a common dilemma. Speaking of money, let's talk about financial planning. What is your philosophy? Do you prefer saving for the future or enjoying your money now?
I am definitely a saver. I find it comforting to have a safety net. I feel anxious if I spend too much on luxuries.
Really? I am the opposite. Obviously, I save a little, but the way I see it, you only live once. I prefer spending money on experiences like travel rather than watching a number grow in a bank account.
I couldn't agree more about spending on experiences. Travel is the one thing I am happy to splurge on. But for material things, I am very conservative.
Since you mentioned travel, let's discuss that. What is your preference? A relaxing, all-inclusive resort or an adventurous backpacking trip?
Oh, definitely the adventure. I find resorts incredibly boring. I want to explore the culture, eat street food, and get lost in a new city.
I have to disagree with you there. My life is stressful enough. When I go on vacation, I want to do absolutely nothing. I prefer lying by the pool with a book. I find it rejuvenating.
I see your point, but I feel strongly that travel should be about learning and challenging yourself. If I stay in the hotel, I feel like I'm wasting the opportunity.
To each their own. That's the beauty of preferences. Now let's tackle the biggest topic of our time, artificial intelligence. What is your take on AI tools like ChatGPT?
I am incredibly excited about them. I am convinced that AI will revolutionize how we learn and work. It's like having a personal assistant available 24/7.
I am much more cautious. I worry about the impact on creativity. If an AI writes our emails and essays, will we lose the ability to write ourselves? I find that prospect terrifying.
I wouldn't go that far. Think of it as a calculator. We still know math, but the calculator helps us go faster. I believe AI will remove the boring tasks so we can be more creative.
That's debatable. A calculator doesn't create art or poetry, AI does. I am torn between being impressed by the technology and being scared for the future of human jobs.
It is a double-edged sword, absolutely. But I am optimistic. I believe we will adapt, just like we adapted to the internet.
I hope you are right. Now let's discuss a classic life choice, city living versus country living. Emma, where do you stand on this?
As far as I'm concerned, the energy of the city is unmatched. I find it thrilling to have everything, museums, cafes, theaters, just minutes away.
I couldn't disagree more. I prefer the peace and quiet of the countryside. I am convinced that living close to nature is fundamentally better for mental health.
That's debatable. I feel strongly that while nature is beautiful, the stress of a long commute from the country to any work opportunity outweighs the calm.
I see your point regarding the commute, but I believe that the cost of living in the city is unsustainable. The way I see it, the financial pressure alone negates any supposed convenience.
That sounds fair, but you can't put a price on opportunity. In my opinion, if you want to grow your career, you need to be where the action is. I am willing to bet that most major professional opportunities are concentrated in urban areas.
I take issue with the idea that professional growth only happens in cities, especially with remote work growing. However, I will concede that cultural life is better in the city.
Exactly. I am passionate about having spontaneous access to art and culture. I wouldn't give that up for anything.
I understand. I am torn between the excitement of the city and the sense of community you get in a small town. It's a compromise.
It is, and the perfect answer probably depends entirely on your stage of life.
That was a fantastic and very long discussion, Emma. We covered everything from professional life to AI and geography. We hope our listeners picked up some powerful B2 structures.
They should have. We've given them the tools to move beyond simple opinions. Now, it's time to consolidate those phrases. We're going to pass you over to the quick review segment where you'll get a clear, slow breakdown of every key structure we used today.
Stay tuned for that deep dive, and don't forget to check the description for the practice challenge. Thanks for joining us on Everyday Insights.
Today, we mastered the language of opinions and preferences. Let's review the B2 structures that make you sound advanced.
To introduce your view, in my opinion, the way I see it, as far as I'm concerned, and what is your take on, to show strong conviction. I am convinced that, I feel strongly that, I am willing to bet that, and I am passionate about. The useful verb to find. Use I find it plus an adjective for personal observation like I find it difficult, I find it thrilling, or I find it exhausting. For strong agreement use, I couldn't agree more. I am with you 100%, or that sounds fair. For polite disagreement use, I see your point, but I have to disagree with you there. I wouldn't go that far. I take issue with that, or that's debatable. We also used idioms like to be on the same page, to agree, to sit on the fence, to be undecided, and a double-edged sword, something with both pros and cons. Key vocabulary recap: torn between, to foster innovation, invaluable, unsustainable, skeptical, rejuvenating. Now, use these phrases. Answer the question of the day in the comments. What are your thoughts on using artificial intelligence in education? Use at least one structure for agreement and at least one structure for disagreement. Good luck!